weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
You can be in love with someone. You can love someone and and if you haven't experienced love and you don't understand it and you don't have the tools to move forward, then you're going to have complications.
What happened to
sealed records, evasive legal tactics, and what they claim were outright lies fed to the court by Jay-Z's legal team. And just when the walls were closing in, Reimer vanishes. There were hints of a breakthrough. After years of legal stonewalling, a judge had finally granted a motion that could have forced Jay-Z to take the one step he'd spent years avoiding, a DNA test. And then, in a moment that feels too precise to be coincidence, Reimer disappears. The only clues left behind: unfinished court filings, frantic voicemail messages, and a family in emotional freefall. This isn't some random.
I wanted to find out who my father was, and for the case not to go how I was planning it, I really thought it was going to go different than.
His mother, Wanda, who passed away in 2019, had sworn under oath that she and Jay-Z were involved when she was just 16 years old. Her sworn statement was on record, and since her death, Reimer's legal guardian, Drelelio Coley, has led the charge to get recognition. She alleges Jay-Z's legal team misled the court about basic facts, like his residence, in an effort to dodge accountability. Public record suggests those claims weren't baseless, and just as the puzzle started forming a complete picture, the man at the center of it vanished. Was this a retreat or something far darker? Because it's the timing that makes it impossible to ignore. Reimer didn't disappear during a lull. He vanished after a significant legal win that could have cracked open sealed documents and dragged one of music's most untouchable names into a courtroom he's long avoided. And the implications of a positive test catastrophic, not just for image or money, but for legal reasons. If Wanda was underage, it doesn't end with a paternity.
Rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both
through a machine built to cover the truth. And just as someone finally got close to that truth, everything went silent. Underground sources aren't mincing words. There's real fear among those closest to Reimer, not fear of embarrassment, fear for safety. The theory gaining traction is that Jay-Z didn't act directly, but someone close to him might have. Because if that DNA result goes public and confirms Wanda's story, Jay-Z doesn't just suffer a PR hit, he becomes something else entirely. A scandal of that magnitude can't be wiped clean with a clever lyric or a tightly scripted apology. It becomes a legal and moral reckoning. Could someone in the Carter camp have made sure that moment never arrived? Some are convinced of it, and it's not just internet whispers. Even those within the legal circles connected to the case are raising eyebrows at how cleanly and suddenly Reimer disappeared. And complicating things further is the second legal front opening up around Jay-Z, a separate civil case involving Diddy, with allegations dating back to the year 2000 that are so gross.
Blistering statement. Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor."
A world of allegations. And suddenly, the one person who could tie those threads together is nowhere to be found. It doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels like something was cleaned up. There's chatter that Jay-Z's legal operatives aren't the only ones moving pieces behind the curtain. Beyoncé, too, is being pulled into the whispers, not as a direct participant, but as the strategist, the one preserving the Carter empire. She's built a pristine legacy, and a scandal like this could swallow it whole. Her silence, always deliberate, is now being interpreted as tactical. Some say she's hired an entire crisis team to track everyone connected to Reimer. Others claim NDAs have been deployed in a sweeping operation to lock mouths shut. While none of this can be officially confirmed, the patterns are disturbing. The timing too perfect, the silence too complete. And the deeper you look, the harder it becomes to believe this was just another missing person. This feels like something or someone was erased. Silence can thunder louder than an admission, and in Jay-Z's case, it's starting to feel deafening. What's becoming harder to ignore,
of course, is more than annoyed would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that
his team claimed he didn't own homes in New Jersey, yet public records screamed otherwise. One attorney even confessed she misspoke, but it's hard not to read that as legalese, for we lied. Now Reimer's vanished, not arrested, not relocated, vanished. No messages, no updates, no digital footprint. For those close to him, this isn't just about celebrity image damage. It's about survival. If Wanda's claims were valid, then Jay-Z isn't simply dodging fatherhood, he's sidestepping potential criminal liability. Because if she was underage, this isn't just moral disgrace. It's the kind of charge that doesn't get erased with platinum plaques. It's a sentence, not a scandal. And when you're one of the most powerful names in the entertainment industry with everything on the line, how far would you go to protect it? Would you keep tossing money at lawyers to bury the story? Would you make quiet calls to judges you once helped elevate? Or, if the clock was ticking too fast, would you consider something far more final? This is where clarity gets replaced by shadows. Stories start to shift, overlap, and twist. People close to Heir say he'd begun receiving odd messages. Others claim he was ready to speak publicly, no filter, no script. One relative warned him to lay low after a strange car kept circling his street. Then, nothing. No texts, no posts, phone off, disconnected from the world. It's hard not to see that as something more than coincidence. And when a case like this has already proven how far the legal gears can bend to shield Jay-Z, the idea that it stopped at courtrooms becomes harder to believe. His team didn't just win, they suppressed. Motions mysteriously denied, documents sealed, contradictory rulings handed down like rubber stamps. Heir's got.
Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who's
12 in 2023. Sanctions were slapped onto Heir's legal team for violating gag orders that allegedly never existed. According to court filings, his constitutional rights weren't just ignored, they were bulldozed. One judge handed down a ruling so riddled with conflicting reasoning that it felt more like damage control than jurisprudence, and every time Jay-Z walked away without having to take that one test. So when the question shifts from why didn't he take the test to how far was he willing to go to avoid it, the answers start to taste bitter. Whispers get louder. Names start to float up, and one of them keeps sticking: Diddy. Not just as a peer, but as a key ally in a network built for containment. Multiple insiders have mentioned Diddy's so-called cleanup crew, a group allegedly responsible for destroying tapes, managing threats, and, according to more than a few sources from the 2000s music scene, silencing problems that couldn't be paid off. These aren't internet rumors scribbled in Reddit corners. These are allegations backed by.
So, civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and, we'll see what happens, or if the DA looks and
investigation for stabbing an executive, both under fire, both circling the wagons. If Jay-Z ever needed something or someone removed from the picture, isn't it logical to believe Diddy's apparatus would be the first call? Especially now, with Diddy under arrest, his empire crumbling, and his former allies flipping with the speed of an overturned switchboard. The silence around Jay-Z isn't just cautious, it feels surgical, strategic. Then there's Beyoncé. Her silence may be the loudest of all. She's crafted a global identity around power, clarity, and ownership of her story. But when it comes to Heir, she's opted for erasure. No comment, no reaction, no deviation from the image. For someone who has spoken out about everything, from infidelity to feminism, this vacuum is unsettling. Theories circle not about guilt, but about control. Beyoncé isn't just a wife, she's a billion-dollar empire. Speaking out, even gently, could be like pulling a loose thread from the entire Carter brand, but staying silent, when a young man has vanished under circumstances that reek of intimidation and suppression, also says something. Maybe it's loyalty, maybe it's self-preservation, or maybe it's something worse. Because when power moves, in silence, people notice. And when the people who hold that power have spent decades.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now
If she were to speak, even slip up, she might expose the rot beneath all that polish. But there's another perspective too, one that doesn't cast her as an architect of deception, but as someone emotionally paralyzed, carrying the unbearable weight of secrets she didn't originate, yet still defends. Maybe it's not guilt, but fear. Fear that speaking would shatter the image she's spent decades perfecting. Fear that her children would become collateral damage. Fear that everything she's ever built would collapse, not because she lied, but because she stayed quiet. In that case, her silence becomes the sound of an inner battle, a woman standing between what's right and what protects her world. But how long can someone hold that line before their silence turns into complicity? How long can she watch from the shadows without becoming part of the machinery she's choosing not to dismantle? And while she remains silent, the family of the man at the center of it all suffers in real time. Heir's loved ones aren't just bewildered, they're in anguish. His guardian, Dre Coley, has made it plain. This was never about money. It was about accountability. She's filed petitions, spoken with journalists, and pleaded with the courts for transparency. Yet there's been no statement, no outreach, no
After they are done with Diddy, Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
phone disconnected. Legal momentum that had been surging forward suddenly hit a wall. Friends who once stood beside him are now reportedly too scared to speak. And scared of what, exactly? That's the billion-dollar question, because this isn't just about a hidden paternity issue. This is about legacy. Jay-Z didn't just build a music career, he built an empire fueled by grit, polish, and calculated silence. He stood next to presidents, curated art exhibitions, sold the American dream in beats and boardrooms. He married a woman who turned herself into a global symbol of truth, independence, and feminine power. But if the DNA test had finally been administered and confirmed Wanda's sworn testimony, then the golden facade surrounding the Carter family would crack wide open, and not just because of an unacknowledged son, but because of what that son's existence implies: a possible relationship with a minor. Allegations
To say allegedly has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be.
and affidavits, and a decade-long paper trail showing a young man asking for nothing more than the right to know his origin. What he got instead was obstruction, delays, sealed rulings, lawyers accused of perjury, and a cultural titan who wouldn't lift a finger. This isn't all happening in isolation either. Jay-Z is now entangled in a separate lawsuit, one echoing from events in the year 2000 and tying him to Diddy, another industry giant now